Okay, good day, guys. I just want to talk a little bit about the struggles that Timo Werner and Kai Havertz are facing right now at Chelsea. And to be honest with you, for me, it's not a big surprise. I am not surprised in the least bit that Werner and Havertz is struggling at Chelsea. I thought from minute one, even when I heard the rumors swirling around in the media that Chelsea were looking to bring both players in, I thought Frank Lampard was making a huge mistake. And that's one of the reasons why I am not going to be so light on my criticism of Frank Lampard and his team's current struggles, as I've seen other individuals in the media do. Because, in my humble estimation, I do believe that Timo Werner and Kai Havertz was money well wasted, to be honest with you. When you look at the type of strikers that perform well at Chelsea, right over the years, Drogba, Costa, just to name a few, these are strikers with incredible physical presence who are very good at holding up the play, holding up the ball, bringing others into the play around them, bringing the wingers and the midfielders, making midfield runs into the play around them, with great physical presence in the box, great aerial ability. I mean, Drogba won Chelsea the Champions League with his immense aerial ability. We all remember that headed goal against Munich in the final. So when you look at the type of strikers that generally perform well at Chelsea, it's fair to say that Werner isn't that type of striker. He just plain and simply isn't. He's a completely different kind of striker. And for me personally, I'm a bit surprised that Lampard of all people should know better. Right? Lampard is a Chelsea man. Right? He probably bleeds blue. I don't know. He'd probably tell you that. But he's a Chelsea man. Right? Through and through. He of all people should know better. Right? Probably he wants to change the culture to play a different style of football. Probably he has a style of football in mind that he wants to play. Right? But the fact of the matter is, Werner has typically never been the type of striker that has done well at Chelsea. And I was even watching ESPN yesterday when they were talking about did Werner make the wrong move choosing Chelsea over Liverpool. I personally think he should have gone to Liverpool. I really and truly do. Right, to be coached by a fellow German. And also I think he would fit perfectly in the Liverpool system of play. I think he's an upgrade to Bobby Firmino. I do, even though I do think Bobby Firmino is hugely underrated, right, and doesn't get the props and the credit he deserves. But I think that he is an upgrade to Bobby Firmino. I think he's obviously a quicker version or a quicker player to Bobby Firmino. And even if he had made the move to Liverpool and he was playing against them or playing for Liverpool yesterday against Southampton, I really and truly don't think Liverpool would have left Southampton with anything less than a point. I really and truly don't think so. When you look at the type of strikers over the years that have performed well at Liverpool, one could make the argument that Werner is that type of a striker and probably even, I mean, he's definitely a quicker because it's very difficult to find a player quicker than Timo Werner, right? And there are certain things that he does well. He's a good dribbler, very good when it comes to running at defenders. He showed in his Leipzig days as well that he's also a very good finisher, right? And I think that he would have done very well if he just took out Bobby Firmino and dropped Timo Werner in. I think he's an upgrade to Bobby Firmino. So I really and truly do think that he should have chosen Liverpool, and I'm a bit surprised that Liverpool didn't go for him considering the fact that Chelsea got him relatively cheap. or cheap, especially for a player of his age and his position and his success in the Bundesliga. They got him relatively cheap, right? But I think he made a mistake going to Chelsea. I really do. It doesn't make sense. I mean, all of these crosses into the box, and Werner is the one in the middle trying to get on the end of it. Timo Werner is not that kind of a player. He just plain and simply isn't, right? But I think Werner would have done well at Liverpool, linking up with the likes of Mane, dropping into the hole and linking up in the with the likes of Mane and Mohamed Salah, and making runs in behind the defense and creating space for those two. I also do believe that he would have stood a better chance of having instant success at Liverpool, given the fact that the team is a more settled team and at Chelsea, Frank Lampard has just acquired a lot of pieces that he's trying to piece together. Right, Kai Havertz. I don't think Kai Havertz will find his foot in the Premier League because even though I do believe that Werner does have the ability to cut it in the Premier League, just not for Chelsea, Havertz is another story. Havertz is definitely money well wasted. I mean, one of the reasons that I have my doubts for Havertz is the type of person he is, the personality of Havertz. He seems to be a laid back, easygoing kind of a guy, and it shows on the pitch. He does not play his football with the same level or with the required level of intensity, I believe, to cut it in the Premier League. When I look at the midfielders for even Liverpool, they play with a very high level of intensity. These days, especially in the Premier League, when you're playing in midfield, you have to be willing to put in the work, you have to be willing to run. And Havertz is just not that kind of a guy. He is too laid back, and I think to change that, you would have to change fundamentally who Kai Havertz is. And I don't see that's just a hard ask. I don't think Kai Havertz can cut it in the Premier League because I just don't see Kai Havertz being able to play with that level of intensity that is required for the Premier League. So I think Werner chose the wrong destination. I think Frank chose the wrong player. I don't even know why Frank needed to go for Werner. He already had two very good strikers there. For the life of me, it amazes me why he does not give Tammy Abrahams a good run. He's their leading goal scorer in the Premier League season so far, right? How you expect this guy to really be at his best and really achieve his full potential if you're not giving him your full backing, right? He scored a lot of goals last season. Okay, the second half of the season wasn't so good. After lockdown, he came back. He scored a couple goals, but after the second half of the season, Tammy Abraham wasn't doing so well, and we see that with players who are not used to the Premier League. This is their first season in the Premier League. They normally, even if they do hit the ground running, they normally do fade out after about halfway through the season, just plain and simple because the intensity and the pace at which the game is played physically, they aren't used to it. But I think that Tammy Abraham, I mean, Lampard is asking for time and says it's going to take time. I think he should go forward with the young striker Tammy Abraham and help him to realize his full potential. I think he's the full package. He does what Werner does, and he does what Giroud is good at. He does what both Werner is good at and Giroud is good at. Probably he does it at a slightly lower level, but he's the full package, and he can do what both Werner and Giroud is good at. So I'm a bit surprised that he went for Werner considering the fact that he had Giroud and Tammy Abraham there. Did he want to phase out Giroud and bring in Werner and have Werner as the first option and Tammy Abraham as the second option. Probably that's the most realistic possibility. But Werner and Tammy Abraham are two different kind of strikers. Normally you don't see that. Normally you don't see a club having the first and second option being two completely different strikers. But hey, as for Kai Havertz, I really, as I said, Werner can cut it elsewhere in the Premier League. I really and truly don't see Kai Havertz cutting it in the Premier League. I thought he was a big waste of money. My thing is, I mean, Leon Bailey has been on their radar for a long time. All the while in the transfer windows, you hear noise around Chelsea trying to make a move for Leon Bailey, and in the past they have made bids for him. I thought there was a better option on Leverkusen than Kai Havertz in Leon Bailey, right? Because Kai Havertz doesn't really have the pace. He's not, his best position isn't on the wing. Earlier in the season, you saw Lampard playing him out on the wing. The better option was Leon Bailey in my estimation. He is much quicker, much more skillful, and plays at a higher level of intensity, much higher level of intensity than Kai Havertz. I thought that he was better suited for Chelsea, and I thought that he was better suited for the Premier League. And also, he was a much cheaper option than Kai Havertz. So, but I think that, to be honest with you, I think that if Timo Werner flops, which I won't be surprised if he does, I think Liverpool should just come in and buy him for really, really cheap, because honestly, I don't see him cutting it at Chelsea, and I think Kai Havertz might have to end up going back to Germany to rediscover his form, because I don't see him cutting it in the Premier League either. But anyways, guys, take care, and until my next video.